Let's talk mitigation for pass the hash, pass the password. Now, mitigating this completely is difficult, but as an administrator, you can make my life very difficult as an attacker. So one thing to note is if you limit your account reuse, for example, Frank Castle being a local admin on multiple computers when we passed the password, that got us into multiple machines. We only had access to one machine. Now we've laterally moved across the network to another machine, and who knows what we're going to find, because it's a whole different set of hash dump. When you saw we dumped the hash, we can also start looking through files on computers, looking for anything interesting. You're going to see some more attacks that we're going to find here, and there's different attacks that we can pull off as a user. So there's things that one machine might not have for us, but once we move laterally to another machine, then guess what? It's a whole new ball game, and then that might open up something we didn't see before that allows us to escalate into domain admin. So if we do not have local admins on machines or reusing them, then guess what? It's going to be really hard for us to do that. Again, you should also limit who is that local administrator, right? Least privilege. We've talked about this time and time again. Here, the strong passwords come into play as well. Not so much for the passing of the hash, but passing of the password. If we're never able to crack the NTLM v2 hash in the first place and get a shell on these machines, then we're never going to be able to actually perform these attacks and get here in the first place. So utilizing strong passwords in your network is big, big, big. Lastly, we talked about in the last video, privilege access management. You can make my life very difficult in a situation where you're using privilege access management. In that story that I talked about where I took down that network that had that $1 million privilege access management, right? They were using CyberArk and they had that tool. I took them down because they were using bad local admin passwords and they were reusing them. Had they been using good local admin passwords and they weren't reusing them, I would have failed on that assessment. Hands down, no doubt about it. But because of that, they had a big weakness there and it can just bypass these $1 million systems. However, these systems are important. Very, very important. So if you can utilize it, if you have the funds to utilize privilege access management in your system, in your environment, please do it. It's really worth it. So that's it for this. So now we're going to move on to what are called token impersonation attacks. And these are really fun. You're going to see why in the next video.